Welcome to the Mastering the Game of Life podcast. In this podcast, there'll be insights around 3 key areas to mastering the game of life: purpose, prosperity, philanthropy. Your host, Paul Lowe, the third sector mentor, is the founder of Hearts Global CIC, which along with many other of his charitable commitments has been responsible for positively impacting thousands of people's lives, particularly young people from disadvantaged communities. Author of Mastering the Game of Life, From Pain to Purpose, and Speaking from Our Hearts books. Introducing your host, Paul Lowe.
Welcome, listeners. Hope all is well. In this health-related podcast, the focus will be around understanding the benefits of having good emotional balance. To help provide expert insight, I'm very pleased to invite back Dr. Shan Hussain. Welcome, Dr. Shan.
Hi, Paul. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good as ever. Thank you. So let's start by asking the question, what are the benefits of having good emotional balance?
Well, it can really help support our overall well-being by understanding what is actually driving us at an emotional level on a daily basis. So understanding where we are at an emotional level, what are the key things that are actually driving our emotions? Because it's our emotions that really lead to our actions every single day. Everything we do is largely driven by how we're feeling in ourselves. And those actions obviously create the results that we want. So supporting our health at an emotional level is absolutely critical. But also it's important to note that any emotions we feel can actually have very real changes within our physical bodies. You know, for example, if we're feeling a lot of fear, anxiety, or worry or concern, it can actually lead to an increase in can cause various different changes within our bodies in terms of the creation of catecholamines, cortisol, inflammatory mediators that can sometimes cause problems if it's sustained in a chronic manner. But if we're focusing on emotions that are more supportive of our health, such as gratitude or joy or love or peace or serenity, then that can have very real changes within our biochemistry, such as increasing levels of dopamine, serotonin, endorphins, and our immune system. So there's a lot of benefits that can be recognized by supporting our emotional health and well-being, and ultimately, like I say, it can have very real changes within the constitution of our physical bodies.
Okay, I mean, when I read this from your book, it kind of triggered thoughts for me around Gandhi's approach on our thoughts are preceded and triggered by our beliefs. So beliefs, thoughts, words, actions, results, etc., etc. I mean, do you subscribe to that?
I do, yes. I didn't realize it was Gandhi, but I'm familiar with that cycle. You know, the thoughts we have, if we continue or repeat them over and over again, then yes, that leads to beliefs and emotional states. And then those emotional states will trigger or subsequently guide the actions that we take, which will lead to whatever results we get. So I like to look at that cycle and see if we can actually reverse engineer that. You know, what results do we want? What specific results do we want to achieve, whether it's related to business or relationships or finances or health or whatever it might be. And then take a step back from there. What actions do we need to take? And a step back from there, what emotions or what beliefs do we need to have to support those actions? And then a step back from there, what thoughts do we need initially? So it very much comes back down to, you know, what we're thinking on a regular basis and how that's showing up in terms of our overall health and well-being, because that's really what will trigger the subsequent results that we get.
Yeah, I mean, I actually quoted the slightly abridged version there, if I can remember this correctly off the top of my head. So in terms of if this is the appropriate terminology, the hierarchy, beliefs, thoughts, words, habits, values, actions, results. So it obviously brings in, as I say, the habits and values as well.
Yes, absolutely, it does.
Yeah, which is an interesting one, because when I come across this, and I know I'm just mindful of not going too far off at a tangent, but you know, with values particularly, I do a lot of work around values. Always sort of remember Tony Robbins' take upon this about how we'll compromise our values and sacrifice them to meet our human needs. So, you know, it can soon become a quite a challenging pot of bits and pieces, at the risk of generalising it, I think.
Yeah, it can. And yes, that is certainly true. I do agree with that statement.
Okay. So you talk about practicing gratitude. Do you care to give us a brief elaboration on this?
Yes, well, gratitude is a very powerful emotion, and it can trigger many of the changes that I've just described, many of the positive changes that actually support our overall health and well-being. And it can put us in a good state. It can make us feel better. Another thing to point out is that when we're practicing gratitude, it's something that can really bring us into the present moment instead of, if we're feeling stressed or worrying about things that might or might not happen in the future, or if we're, feeling low about stuff that's happened in the past. Gratitude is a quick way and a simple way to bring us back into the present moment. And I talk about, the importance of writing things down and capturing ideas and lists. And when we talked about creating reasons behind why we want to achieve whatever goal it is we're after. In my case, it's always health goals. But gratitude is another one that's very important. And sometimes talking to clients who want to achieve emotional well-being or balance, we talk about writing down actually things that we are grateful for, actually capturing a list of 50 to 100 different things and writing them down. And then with each one, just taking some time to recognize what that thing is that we're grateful for and feel that emotional gratitude within us. And then, by the time you're getting to item 10 or 15 on your list, then it can actually be so overwhelming in terms of how joyous we feel as a result. And it's something that is, easily done by everybody. And it's a great practice to have. It can certainly help to, bring our stresses into perspective in terms of what's going on in our busy lives.
3 simple words. Beware of stressors.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Give us just a very, very brief overview of that, please, Dr. Shan.
Well, as I've talked about, stress is not something that's tangible. It's totally abstract. No one can actually physically hand you, 5 kilos of stress or 10 grams of stress. It's very much down to a perception of what we see around us and how we perceive that as being stressful, and that's taken by an image that we create of stress. And there are things that can create stress, and it's important to recognize and understand these things for what they are and not magnify them beyond what they are. But yes, obviously being wary of stress is that stress reaction within us that we all have. It is to some extent important. It's important for our survival. But my concern is when the stress reaction becomes chronic and what that does to our overall health. So obviously I want people to be wary of that and be cognizant of when such situations can arise and what they can do about it to manage it.
Thank you. Thanks very much, Dr. Shan, and sincere gratitude for sharing your insights around how to benefit from emotional balance. I think there's 1 or 2 useful insights there for all of us, no matter how much we think we know about certain situations. I think it's fantastic to have these little reminders from health experts such as yourself. So, as I say, sincere gratitude to you for that.
Well, you're very welcome.
Okay, so until the next time, keep learning and loving, and always remember, mastering life starts by embracing our hearts.
Thanks for listening to the Mastering the Game of Life podcast. Drop a line to paul@paullohearts.com with any thoughts or questions you may have, and he'll be more than happy to respond. Alternatively, check out Paul's website at paullohearts.com or any of his social media feeds under the same name. Remember, mastering life starts by embracing our hearts.